She became one of the most photographed women on the planet almost overnight, spotted on a stadium screen one week, on magazine covers the next. But what the world called overnight fame, Pamela Anderson would later call the beginning of a decades-long fight to protect what little privacy she had left. By the end of this story, you'll understand why she says the thing that made her famous is not the thing that defines her. There are some Hollywood stories that begin with a dream, some that begin with a lucky break, and then there is the story of Pamela Anderson, a woman whose life seemed to change almost overnight, only to reveal that fame could be far more complicated than anyone imagined. Born Pamela Denise Anderson on July 1, 1967, in Ladysmith, British Columbia, Canada, Pamela grew up far from the bright lights of Los Angeles. Her father, Barry Anderson, worked as a furnace repairman, while her mother, Carol, worked as a waitress. Her family background was a mixture of Canadian, Finnish, and German roots, and even as a child, Pamela was surrounded by stories and a strong connection to family. Her grandfather, Herman Anderson, was a logger and poet who believed in folklore, fairies, and trees that whispered secrets to one another, and he even taught Pamela to speak Finnish. Long before magazine covers and television fame, she was simply a young girl growing up in British Columbia, attending school, playing volleyball, and discovering talents that would later surprise audiences. In 8th grade, she performed as a scat soloist with her school jazz band and played the saxophone, a small detail from her childhood that would eventually become part of her story decades later. She graduated from Highland Secondary School in 1985, carrying with her no guarantee that she would become one of the most recognizable faces in popular culture. The road to Hollywood did not begin with a carefully planned celebrity career. In 1988, Pamela moved to Vancouver and worked as a fitness instructor. Then in 1989, something unexpected happened at a BC Lions football game at BC Place Stadium. Pamela was shown on the stadium's giant screen while wearing a Labatt Beer t-shirt. The crowd noticed her, and so did the company. She was briefly hired as a spokesmodel, and the moment inspired her then-boyfriend Dan Alisic to create a poster called the Blue Zone Girl. What looked like a simple appearance at a football game became the kind of chance encounter that can completely redirect a person's life. Pamela was soon flown to Los Angeles for a photo shoot, and she appeared on the cover of Playboy's October 1989 issue. She then moved to Los Angeles to pursue modeling, and in February 1990 she was selected as Playboy's Playmate of the Month. Suddenly, the young woman from British Columbia was standing at the center of a world that moved much faster than the life she had known before. Her Playboy career would eventually span more than 2 decades, and she would appear on more Playboy covers than any other individual. But Pamela was not content to remain only a model. She wanted to act, and the first major step came when she landed a small role on the ABC sitcom Home Improvement. It was not yet the role that would define her, but it gave her a path into television. Then came Baywatch. In 1992, Pamela Anderson became CJ Parker on the hit action drama series, and everything changed. She remained with the show for 5 seasons, from 1992 through 1997, becoming one of its longest-serving cast members. Baywatch was watched by audiences around the world, and CJ Parker became the character most closely associated with Pamela's name. The show transformed her from a successful model into an international celebrity. For many viewers, she represented the glamorous California lifestyle they saw on television, but behind the image was a young actress learning how to handle a level of attention that few people ever experience. During her first season, she was reportedly paid $1,500 per episode, a figure that now feels almost unbelievable when compared with the worldwide fame the series eventually brought her. As the 1990s continued, Pamela began building a career beyond Baywatch. She appeared in films, including Raw Justice in 1994 and Barbed Wire in 1996. Barbed Wire was an ambitious futuristic remake of Casablanca, but it was not a commercial success. Pamela also guest-hosted Saturday Night Live in 1997, showing that she could move beyond the image that had made her famous. In 1998, she took on another major television role as Valerie Irons in the syndicated action comedy drama series VIP. The show ran successfully for 4 years, giving Pamela another opportunity to establish herself as a leading television personality. Yet fame was bringing a second reality with it. The larger Pamela's public profile became, the more intensely the media followed her private life. In 1995, Pamela married Tommy Lee, the drummer of Motley Crue, after knowing him for only 4 days. Their relationship quickly became one of the most closely watched celebrity romances of the decade. They married on a beach, and soon became parents to 2 sons, Brandon Thomas and Dylan Jagger. But their marriage also became troubled, and Lee was later sentenced to 6 months in Los Angeles County Jail after assaulting Pamela. The couple divorced in 1998, followed by a difficult custody dispute over their children that was eventually resolved with joint custody. Their relationship became part of the public conversation, but for Pamela, the consequences were not merely celebrity gossip. She was trying to protect her family, while living under a level of public scrutiny that made privacy almost impossible. But everything you've heard so far is only half the story. Because in 1995, something was stolen from Pamela, something private, something never meant for the world to see. And what happened next didn't just make headlines. It changed how the entire world saw her, for over 2 decades. Stay till the end because what she finally reveals about that moment will completely change how you see everything that came before it. Then came one of the most painful chapters of her life. In 1995, private home videos of Pamela and Tommy Lee, recorded on a houseboat on Lake Mead, were stolen. The videos were later spliced together and distributed as a commercial product without their consent. The incident led to a legal fight and made Pamela the center of a media storm. She sued the company involved in distributing the material, but while she was pregnant, she became concerned about the extreme stress of the legal battle and dismissed the case. Years later, the story would be dramatized in the Hulu miniseries Pam and Tommy, a production made without Pamela's participation or consent. In the Netflix documentary Pamela: A Love Story, she spoke about the experience from her own perspective. What had once been treated by much of the entertainment industry as celebrity scandal was, for Pamela, a violation of her privacy that followed her for years. Her decision not to monetize the stolen material became an important part of how she later described taking control of her own story. While the public often focused on controversy, Pamela continued working. She appeared in films and television programs, wrote books, and remained a recognizable figure in American popular culture. In 2004, she released the novel Star, co-written with Eric Shaw Quinn, and later published Starstruck, which drew on the world of celebrity and her experiences with fame. She toured the United States signing autographs and meeting fans. In 2005, she starred as Skylar Dayton in the Fox sitcom Stacked, although the show was cancelled after 2 seasons. In 2006, she received a star on Canada's Walk of Fame and hosted the Juno Awards, becoming the first non-singer and model to host the ceremony. She also appeared in the comedy film Borat, playing herself in a memorable sequence that became part of the movie's deliberately outrageous style. By this point, Pamela's image had become so familiar that she could appear as herself and still be one of the most recognizable people in the room. Her career also moved into reality television and international entertainment. She appeared on the Indian version of Big Boss in 2010, spending 3 days in the house as a guest. She later participated in the British Big Brother franchise, appeared as a special guest on VIP Brother in Bulgaria, and entered Germany's Promi Big Brother as a special guest. She competed on Dancing with the Stars in the United States in 2010 and returned for the All-Star edition in 2012. She also appeared on Argentina's Bailando 2011, Britain's Dancing on Ice in 2013, and France's Danse avec les Stars in 2018. These appearances showed another side of her career. She was no longer simply the actress from Baywatch. She had become an international media personality whose name could travel across countries and formats. At the same time, Pamela's personal life continued to evolve. She married Kid Rock, although their marriage ended in divorce. She later married Rick Salomon, first in 2007 with that marriage being annulled, and then again years later before divorcing in 2015. She was also in a relationship with French soccer player Adil Rami from 2017 to 2019. In December 2020, Pamela married Dan Hayhurst, her bodyguard, but the marriage ended in 2022. Through all of these changes, she remained connected to her 2 sons and increasingly focused on the life she wanted away from the constant demands of Hollywood. There was another important part of Pamela's story that began long before her biggest fame: her concern for animals. She became vegetarian in her early teens after seeing a deer her father had brought home from hunting, and later transitioned to a vegan diet in her 20s. Over the years, animal rights became one of the causes most closely associated with her public work. She became an active supporter of PETA and participated in campaigns focused on animal protection. She also became involved with the International Fund for Animal Welfare and later joined the board of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, supporting efforts against whale hunting. Her activism sometimes placed her in controversial situations, but it also demonstrated that her public identity was larger than modeling, acting, and celebrity relationships. Pamela also used her platform for other causes. She became a spokesperson for the MAC/AIDS Fund, raising money at events in cities including Toronto, Tokyo, Dublin, and Athens. She supported the American Liver Foundation and participated in a motorcycle ride fundraiser. She later appeared in public service announcements focused on passenger safety and transportation regulations. Her activism was not always universally accepted, but it reflected a growing willingness to use her fame for issues she personally cared about. Pamela Anderson survived scandal, heartbreak, and a world that never let her tell her own story. Until now. But the real question is, after everything Hollywood took from her, what did she choose to take back? That answer might surprise you more than anything else in this story.